Greetings, family. This is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates. And I don't know how long this live is going to be, but I feel like I want it to be kind of like my name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. So, yeah, it's been a minute, maybe a week since I've done a live, maybe a little more than a week. And it's late here, but I was like, I don't want to not do a live today. Like I've got a lot in my brain and I feel kind of mentally overwhelmed, to be honest. And this is also me procrastinating because I have a lot to do tonight. It's 10 p.m. and I still have a ton of shit to do because tomorrow I'm doing 2 events. I'm teaching a workshop tomorrow that I haven't even begun to prepare for. You feel me? So it was a lot. But anyway, this week was weird. This week has been weird. And weird in a way that I can't give a name to. Like weird in a way where I've been feeling disembodied. Like I'm chronically standing outside myself, watching myself. I don't know what that is. Last week, let's see. Yeah, just a few days ago, Mercury stationed direct. And so I was like, all right, this shit about to free up. You feel me? We about to get it cracking. And that hasn't been the case at all. I've been feeling really weird and disembodied. And I don't know if it's just me. I don't think that it's just me. I think people over the past week have been saying kind of the same thing. Like with everything that's happening in the world, there is this weird, eerie calm. This weird, that's all I can say. It's been this weird, eerie calm, even as like chaotic and busy and all over the place as things have been, whether out in the world or in my personal life. It is this weird, eerie, fucking calm. And I don't know, like I haven't been able to shake it, and it's been like a week. And so, and even when I've sat, because I've done a lot this week, and I've even been deliberate in trying to like sit and actually think about what I'm experiencing, journaling and trying to give word to it, trying to give, trying to explain it to myself. Like, what is it that I'm feeling in my body right now? Why is it that I feel like I am observing my life from outside in? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm spectating on me. Like I'm outside myself spying on me or something. It's just weird. I don't know, man. It's been very, very weird. The weather has been very, very weird. And I don't know. I can't explain it. But in an attempt a couple of days ago to kind of, I'll be honest, to kind of like evade this thing that I've been feeling that I still ain't able to give voice to. The last time I did a live on the 4B movement. Greetings, Tajali. Yes, I've been feeling untethered too. Okay, is this CERN? Okay, come on. Now, don't make me feel like I'm a weirdo out here. You feel me? I don't know what it is. And I can't say, if I'm being honest, I can't say that it's a familiar feeling. I can't say that I've felt this way before. You know what I mean? And I try to be all jolly on the spot. You feel me? Like keeping up with astrology, like what's happening in the heavens, what it's supposed to mean for us. All right. Okay. I'm not crazy. Okay. Yes. And in an attempt, and I've got a fucking lot to do. I have been working every day, every single solitary day, and sometimes 12 and 16-hour days. So it ain't like there ain't a shortage of shit that I am not into. And it's still like this ever-present thing that I'm feeling, right? And so the last live that I did was maybe a little over a week ago. I did this live on the 4B movement, and yeah, kind of like that, Nikki. Yeah, just like, not, you know what it feels like, Nikki. It feels like, you remember that there's like a movie, The Truman Show. Some of y'all might be too young to even know what I'm talking about, but there was a movie called The Truman Show where this guy was living his life and he thought he was just living his life, and he didn't even realize that his ass was living like in a reality show. Like nothing that was happening was real. Like all these people were actually watching him live his life, and he didn't even know that it was actually a reality show, like a reality TV show that he was living in. It was very weird. Anyway, that's what it reminded me of. Okay, I just got chills when you said that. She said she'd been thinking about the same movie. It's been quiet about, because I didn't think anyone would understand. I've been quiet about it because I didn't think anybody would understand. I've not felt like that myself. Yeah, okay, so it's not me, and so I probably need to sit with it. Actually, I actually thought about. I had a client today, and the area that she was in is really, really beautiful. So I was like, you know what, before I get busy in my life and busy in my head, I'm gonna go just lay on the grass at this park that was near her house, see if I could bring myself back into my fucking body. And so I went and laid out at this park and looked up at the sky for a little bit. And that it didn't help much. And typically being outside, grounding, can help draw me back in, like draw me out of my head. Didn't help. And anyway, so let me get going, because I don't want to be on here long. I got a lot to do tonight before I go to bed. But I did this live on the 4B movement last week, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from you guys about this live that I did last week. And after that, there have been other things that have come up, and I've told you guys there are some ideas that I have that I've been trying for a while to pull together, but I just don't have a lot of study time these days, and so it's been really difficult. And I think that's part of it, is I have so much in my head that I'm trying to like ideologically, that I'm trying to weave together. I will hear something or I will see something and see instantly like how it connects to this seemingly unrelated thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to write that down so I don't forget it, because this is going to be, it's going to be necessary to talk about it and at least put it out there so we can start bridging these gaps, right? And so I was thinking about this live that I did last week and the statistics that I brought to you guys last week about why these women initiated the 4B movement. And those statistics that I brought you about the violence against women in South Korea was kind of what got me on this other thing that I'm gonna talk to you about. One of the things I'm gonna talk to you about tonight. These statistics that I was not aware of until I started digging in to do this live for y'all last week had my spirit uneasy, man. Had my spirit uneasy. And then this little bullshit everybody been caught up in for the last week or so about the infamous bear or man question that's got all the men, hot on the collar. And no matter what women say, they cannot hear what women are saying. And I haven't responded to anything that I've seen about it. I haven't participated, but it's been sitting with me. A couple of things have been sitting with me about it. I saw this woman talk about the whole question of the man, quote, the man versus the bear question. And nobody seems to know where exactly the question emerged from. And then this girl brings up the fact that there is actually a scripture in Proverbs that says something about a man in folly or something like that, like a foolish man being more dangerous than a bear or something to that effect, right? A man living in folly or something to that effect. I just heard it in passing, crack watching all these videos about the man versus the bear thing and how it actually is a scripture. So this question isn't like somebody just all of a sudden the fuck out of thin air said, ooh, do you feel as a woman, would you prefer to be in the woods with a man or a bear? It actually is biblical. And so, and because I have yet to see a video like highlighting or pointing out who originally asked the question that has since gone viral. And there may be, I just haven't seen it yet. But y'all know me. I'm always saying this shit is so fucking suspect. You feel this shit is suspect. All the shit suspect. You feel me? And I'm always talking about, the evil trinity. You feel me? Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, the evil Christianity / Catholicism, Judaism, and Islam, the three evils of the fucking world today, and how these motherfuckers is in bed together plotting and scheming about how they about to recolonize and quote re-evangelize the entire planet. You feel me? And so I was like, damn, okay, because when I first started hearing about it, I was like, that's silly. That's a silly question. Then the girl was like, nah, this shit didn't just pop up from nowhere. This is literally a scripture that a man living in folly is more dangerous or more deadly than a wild bear or something. You feel me? I was like, okay, there's a lot of real serious distractionary shit happening right now. A lot of seriously distractionary, noisy shit that's happening right now. And the more distractionary these things become, the more intense and pervasive these distractions become, the more maybe that's what it is. I just sense like something's coming down the pipe, and I don't want to be like alarmist because I don't live in fear. You feel me? I don't want to be alarmist, but that it's like this weird, I don't know. I still can't explain it, but I feel like it, especially since April, I just feel like these motherfuckers are scheming. They plotting some shit. They know that we spend damn near 5 to 7 hours a day on these goddamn social media outlets. And so if they can throw kinks in the shit, yeah, even since before the eclipse, because even the 2 or 3 weeks before the eclipse, this shit's just been really intense because it's been big event after big event after big event. You feel me? So I think the eclipse was kind of like a set off point, but we've been getting our asses handed to us for a hot minute since we entered this new year. You feel me? And so I just feel like these motherfuckers are scheming. These motherfuckers are scheming a jack move. And the more shit they can throw in front of us, the more bullshit that they can throw in front of us to distract us, to get us sidetracked. These, what do you call them? This legislation coming down the pike, whether it's about the revision of anti-Semitic laws and, criminalizing, quote, what they call anti-Semitic speech, all this shit that they doing behind closed doors while we debating for hours and days and weeks and shit over bullshit, you feel me? And I feel like this shit is deliberate. And so when I did this thing on the 4B movement, because see, to me, there are things that are happening and being talked about that are important to talk about, but within a very specific context. It has to be within a specific context. This thing with the bear and the man question, I feel like it's an important topic because it's revealing something. This conversation has been extremely revealing, almost to the point of terrifying. I'll be honest. Some of the dialogue that I have been hearing in response to this thing is horrifying. The 4B movement and all of the dialogue happening around the 4B movement is really, what am I always talking about? Oh yeah, as the great revealer. Oya as she who removes your enemy's masks so they can be judged, baby. And these motherfuckers is pulling their masks off. They don't know it, but that's what's happening. Oya is revealing the criminals that exist among us, baby. And we know them and do not know them. You understand? Let me tell you the wormhole that I've been in trying to evade and avoid. You feel whatever the fuck I'm feeling, right? And this wormhole that I descended into did not help, didn't help. It started out with the 4B movement information and the horribly gruesome statistics that I, talked to you guys about last week in terms of the violence against women in South Korea. And I didn't even know. It wasn't even on my radar like that. You feel me? Like every time you see pictures of South Korea, it's always like everybody's so happy and the culture is so gentle. And these women are living in unadulterated hell, child. Hell. That's what they living in. They living in hell. Some of these statistics. You know what I'm saying? 81% of all murders in Korea, 81% of the victims of all murders is women. 81%, child. 51% of the women murdered in South Korea will be murdered at their house, at their home. Chad, them statistics last week had me up in my feelings. So I was like, between this bear and the man question and all these men out here really in their motherfucking feelings about the question, between all these men and them being in their feelings about this damn 4B movement, I was like, you know what? Let me look at some, because somebody else mentioned it last week when I had this conversation. They was like, damn, I wonder what the statistics are for America. I was like, I'm working on it. Baby, let me tell you something about America. And so let me just tell you some of the statistics I found out about this motherfucker right here. And I'm gonna always say it. When these issues come up, the context with which they are brought up are always, everything is the issue but the issue. Everything becomes an explanation but what the true explanation is. You understand? Chad. So I started with just like statistics around violence in the United States. And then I descended into some other shit, child. So I was trying to figure out my angle. And then I came across this TikTok that talked about how it was talking about all the serial killers, at least caught or documented serial killers since they started following serial killers or whatever, right? And the United States. So under the United States, the next to the highest number of serial killers historically documented, the country next and highest to the United States. Oh, I have it written down. Hold on. I have the whole list. Hold on. I'll be taking notes all crazy. Here it is. So the top 10, so this was just the top 10 countries with the most serial killers. You feel me? And from number 10 to number 1 is Russia has had, now some of the things that they said about these numbers is the United States has become like the most prolific in terms of its analysis, identification, campaigns involving serial killers, right? So that may be one explanation for why the numbers are so different in the United States and these other countries. These other countries don't really have a history of really documenting serial killers, right? Or identifying murders that may be attributed to a serial killer as opposed to isolated incidences. You feel me? Russia has a historical documentation of 73. India, 80 serial killers in a country of 3 billion fucking people. Australia, 81. Germany, 85. Japan, 96. Italy, 97. Canada, 106. South Africa, 117. England, which is the next to the highest, with 166 documented serial killers. The United States, just in the last century, from like late 1800s to today, 3,204. The next to the highest is England at 166. The United States, 3,204 serial killers. You feel me? With all those documented serial killers combined, that's not including the ones they haven't caught or identified yet. It's just the ones that they've caught or identified, right? 9,924 victims of those serial killers. 9,924 victims of these serial killers, these 3,204 serial killers in the history of the United States, right? And so I'm gonna go back to the serial killer thing, but then I went over to do some little calculations about the history of cults in this country. There have been documented anywhere, they are believed to have been anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 cults in the same period of time, about the late 1800s to today. 3 to 5,000 cults. They believe there's anywhere from 500 to 3,000 active cults in the what they would identify as cults in the United States today. Right now, active, that they guesstimate of serial killers currently active in the United States. Where they say that is? Hold on. Currently active serial killers. Where I put that at? Damn. Oh, they say right now there are 2,000 serial killers at large in the United States. 2,000 serial killers at large in the United States. You feel me? Now, they say that murder is serial murder is so pervasive in the United States. Y'all ain't gonna believe it. This is FBI statistics, y'all. Serial murder is so pervasive in the United States that every single citizen in the United States, on average, will come into proximity, will pass, walk by, sit in the same restaurant as, will come into proximity with 11 serial murderers in their life. Yo! Yeah, y'all. You hear what I just said? The FBI guesstimates that every single one of us in our life from birth to death will come into contact with 11 serial killers in our lifetime. Yeah. Listen, okay? I'm going to go back to that. That's serial killers, 2,000 at large, cults, an estimate of 3,000 to 5,000 with approximately 3,000 they guesstimate 550 plus active cults right now in the United States. Overall, over the last 100 plus years, 3,000 to 5,000 cults with functional active cults, about 550 right now. You feel me? Then, okay, mass shooters. This shit, I had to stop because I was like, I ain't trying to be another motherfucking wormhole up in this bitch. You feel me? I start thinking I'm going to do a little something to see how many mass shootings there have been. You feel me? And so I was like, well, let me just start with the year we in. Let me just do that. Let me just start with the year we in. Okay? Just in 2023, where that's at? Where that's at? So I'll take notes like a crazy person. In 2023, where that's at? Damn, where is that? Child. I know I just wrote that that down today. What the hell did I do with it? I might have to come back to that because I thought I wrote it all on the same page, but I guess I got crazy with it. 23. Yeah, okay. I might have to come back to that because I don't know what I did with it. Okay, so I come back to that. Then, so we got, here it is right here. Okay, so in just the year 2020, is anybody still here? Am I talking to myself? Am I off? Am I offline? Because all of a sudden the activity just paused, just broke. Okay, cool, Tajali. Yeah, okay. So, mass shooters, okay? Just in 1 year, just 2023, okay? In 2023, y'all. In 2020, listen, I'm going to just give y'all a few numbers, okay? In 2023, child, there was 604 shootings, mass shootings, 1 year. 604 mass shootings, 2,443 people injured. 2,443 people injured in the mass shootings, and 754 people killed in the mass shootings. 604 mass shootings in 1 year. In the year 2000, there were 7 mass shootings. 35 people died as a consequence of those shootings, and 9 people were injured in them shootings. 2000, 7 shootings, 35 people dead, 9 injured. In 2023, 604 shootings, 2,443 injured, and 754 dead. Okay, so between mass shootings, between cults, and serial killers, you have these huge numbers of people unalived, killed, murdered. You feel me? Then, let me throw the coup d'etat. Let me throw the coup d'etat on y'all. Now, I told y'all this is the name of the damn video. Is Wormhole Ramblings. Random Wormhole Ramblings, right? So the coup d'etat, I get stuck on the serial killer shit. Now, mind you, I want y'all to walk with me because this is connected to what I talked to y'all last week about these women in South Korea and the violence against women. When I talked to y'all about the history of femicide in China, Japan, and South Korea. But I said this is not exclusively about them. Just for the context of this discussion, that's all we're talking about. But we weren't talking last week about femicide in other countries. You feel me? Because the country with the highest femicide rate, I did not know. I mean, the continent with the highest rate of femicide is Africa. And then next to it is Asia. You feel me? Okay. So I got stuck on, so when I was doing this 4B thing, this is what sent me on the wormhole about the different ways that violence is unfolding on females in particular, but not exclusively, children and men and male children, right? Baby, look, so I watched this documentary. Let me tell y'all what the name of it is, because this shit shook me. Because let me tell you something. We got a bad habit that is causing us damage. Let me tell you what the bad habit is. The bad habit is to presume, I talk to y'all about this often, somebody feelings about to be hurt. We have this way of really hyper romanticizing that somehow inherent in Blackness is goodness. That inherent in Blackness is that's some white people shit. Ain't no Black person doing no shit like that. So the reason I say that is dangerous is because when something happens that is, quote, outside the norm of what we think Blackness is about, we say, oh, that's some white people shit. You feel me? Baby, I saw this documentary last week that rocked my whole entire foundation, child. The name of the documentary, I saw it on YouTube, is called Killer Crime, Black Serial Killers, The Truth. I said, oh shit, here the fuck we go. Oh my God, here we go. Here we go. That's what it was called. Y'all need me to say it again? The name of the documentary is called Killer Crime, Black Serial Killers, The Truth. Child, my spirit was disturbed, dismayed, and distraught. Disturbed, dismayed, and distraught, child. I hear you, Nikki, but I'm telling you, I was, I was one of them that was like, oh no, that's some white people shit. Black people don't do no bullshit like that. Child, listen, this documentary had me dismayed, disturbed, distraught, all manner in my feelings. Okay. Listen. Did y'all know that since they've been taking the historical record on serial killers up in this bitch, 22% of all serial killers are black men. 21 in 5 serial killers is black men. Child, 1 in 5. And that's just the ones they know of. 1 in 5 serial killers is black men. Child, that shit disturbed me. In fact, one of the fucking serial killers that they highlighted in this documentary, they said that if this dude's claims, because when they finally got him to open up about the serial, because he had already been in prison for being connected to 1 or 2 murders, you feel me? And he was already serving all his time, and his ass had been in prison so long, his ass was old, you feel me? He was about to die and shit. And so they went in there to interview him again. They interviewed him for days and shit, you feel me? This dude had a photographic memory of every woman he killed. He actually drew pictures in his cell of every woman he killed. He remembered the names of every woman he killed. He remembered how he killed them. He led the police to where he buried them. This nigga had a photographic memory of every woman that he killed. And when I say every woman, they finally connected and proved that he killed 65 women in the span of 4 decades. 65 women in the span of 4 decades. He claimed to have killed 93, but they could only directly tie 65 to him. You hear what I'm telling y'all? 60 convicted on 65 murders of women and girls, but he told them about 93, but they couldn't tie him to him before the motherfucker died. They say if it is true that he killed 93 women and girls in the span of 4 decades, you feel me? Or 3 decades, something like that, that he will actually be officially the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history. This black dude. When they show video of his interview, child, when he was talking about these women, he's smiling. He talking about them like they was homies. Oh yeah, I remember her. You know, she was so cute. She was about 5'6". Child, goddamn, that shit fucked me up. That's right, Nikki. I was getting to that. And so when the black dude who was a detective, who was talking about his years as a detective and why it was so frustrating, this idea, this kind of culturally accepted idea that black people aren't serial killers, even among police officers, even among, departments. Like, This ain't no black people shit. You feel me? This idea that the only people that are serial killers are white people in general, and primarily white men between the age of 24 and 35. You feel me? He said, and the reason why is listen, this black man, now there were some conclusions he wouldn't allow himself to come to for opportunistic reasons. But one of the things that he said is the reason that he feels like they don't consider the possibility of black men being serial killers is because there is listen to this shit. There is an obsession with serial killers in this country that prop them up almost as like anti-heroes. They are revered. Serial killers are so fascinating in American culture that they are revered and held up like rock stars. And nobody wants to hold up a black man as an anti-hero or a rock star. So therefore, there hasn't been this culture of really investigating the possibility of there being black serial killers, right? And yes, he mentioned that, Shauna Michelle. He said when people were going and saying we saw two dudes shooting with rifles out the window, whatever, shooting people, and the police laughed them out the goddamn department because these motherfuckers, there's two black guys riding around with guns in the car. You feel me? And so this dude could not, because he was black and male, he could not bring himself to say the fucking obvious. The common denominator among all these motherfucking men that he was talking about in this goddamn documentary, that the reason that they were not identified as serial killers is because the police department historically refuses to investigate the death of black women as anything other than random isolated events. Child, the majority of these motherfuckers deliberately sought out the most vulnerable in society, specifically because they knew the cops would not investigate this country's worthless, which is who? Black, homeless females who are probably prostitutes or drug addicts. They deliberately sought them out. This dude that killed approximately 93 women over 3 decades and never got caught until he was old and shit. This motherfucker, of them 93 women, 2 were white. 2 were white. Of them 93 women he killed, 2 was white. There was another dude who, there were common denominators between these black dudes too. Several of them were trained boxers. I found that interesting. Several of them were either retired or what do they call it? Discharged military. Several of them. Yeah. Let's see. There was another dude who killed 8 women. This dude was in Jacksonville. Yes. And that's, like I said, he's saying only 1 out of 5 serial killers are black men. I'm talking to Keith Hayes. Only 1 out of 5 serial killers are black men. But if this has been a historical norm for them to not investigate the murder of black women with any real zeal, with any real, thoroughness. No, I haven't seen that, Shauna Michelle. I'm putting it on the list right now. Y'all gotta stop giving me shit to see. I'm already watching too much shit. Y'all gotta stop giving me shit to watch. You feel me? I'm overwhelmed, but I'm gonna watch it. But anyway, this has been a historical norm, right? There was one dude who was married his high school sweetheart. There's a whole separate documentary about him. Married his high school sweetheart, had a baby with the woman. You feel me? and was really abusive to her and all of this shit. But she kept him around, and then she said she started noticing like fucked up behavior, but she didn't think anything about it, like him coming home late, whatever, him being gone 2 or 3 days before he come home. So she was like, this motherfucker having an affair, you feel me? Whatever. Child, this man that was living in her house and fathered her child ended up killing like 15 women before they caught him. Black dude. You feel me? Listen, this dude had been killing women while he was married to this woman and living in her house. She thinking he being a stereotypical punk ass nigga, you know what I'm saying? Cheating, creeping, coming home late, acting funny, and so she increasingly getting mad. She even go to her daddy's house because he hit her in the face one day. She was like, I'm out of here. Like, you can cuss me out or whatever, but you ain't about to put your hands on me. I'm going to my daddy's house. You feel me? She go to her daddy's house. Her daddy invite the nigga over to the house so they can work it out. Meanwhile, this motherfucker is killing black women all over the city, y'all. All over the city. All over the city, child. Goddamn. You feel me? So let me go back to some other stats. There's some other shit I want to draw out. But that damn thing about the black serial, I'm gonna tell you who said that. 1 out of 5. Nikki, I'm gonna guarantee you that number is higher than it is. Because there was a period, you remember just recently, y'all, maybe right at the beginning of pandemic, where we were seeing TikTok after TikTok after TikTok about people in different areas in this country, like exposing the fucking police departments in their areas, saying there is a serial killer in our city attacking black women, and these motherfucking pigs ain't doing nothing, right? Remember that? It was like 4 or 5 different cities, especially at the height of pandemic, where people were forcing through exposure the police departments in their area to start investigating the possibility of there being serial killers in their city because so many black women and girls were going missing. Y'all remember that? Anybody remember that? Because I know there was a city in Louisiana that was put on blast. It was Memphis. Yes, Nikki, yes, right. And this was happening a lot in a very short period of time, where all these people, they was like, look, we didn't gone to the cops. There have been 5 women, 5 girls who done disappeared in a week. You know what I'm saying? There's a serial killer in our city. People was like hitting the internet to force exposure because nobody in the city was writing about it in the local news, and the pigs were refusing to investigate it as a serial killer. Child, you understand? So I am venturing that there's many, 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 many more. And because there is a culture of ignoring black women, ignoring their voice, and ignoring their disappearances, I am venturing, and men know that. Men know that we out here exposed. So it is an advantageous opportunity for somebody to take out their aggressions or their sadistic ideations on the bodies of black women, because they know don't nobody give a fuck about black women in this country. So we wide open. You feel me? I'm guaranteeing that number is bigger than what it is, that 1 in 5. I remember all those kids going missing in Ohio, and not too long ago. Exactly. Let me tell you what else. There was a serial killer. This was well before they started taking, identifying people as serial killers or whatever. This dude he started his killing spree in the 1800s. Now, mind you, what the environment of the 1800s is, the end of the 1800s. You feel me? This is black people just got let off the plantations. You feel me? The Civil War has ended. You feel me? We about to transition into the new century. This dude, Albert Fish. And he talked about this because he was saying a lot of the time when the only way serial killers end up getting caught is when they deviate from their modus operandi and they end up killing somebody that's cared about. That's what he said. He said a lot of the time when these dudes deviate from poor, unimportant, disenfranchised, disempowered, homeless, people that quote society don't care about, when they deviate from that, that's how they end up getting caught. So this dude, Albert Fish, had apparently raped and killed 300 Black children. And the only reason he got caught was he ended up killing this little white girl. And that's how he got caught. 300 Black babies, child. This motherfucker killed. You feel me? Yep. That happened. Now, I'm going to tell you, these statistics do not even reflect, do not even take into consideration a whole nother aspect. I ain't even got all the statistics around that yet, and I'm going to probably leave that for another day. Around this whole issue of what they call missing and murdered Indigenous women, right? And now missing and murdered Black women, right? Missing and murdered Indigenous women and missing and murdered, what was it? 77,000 Black women and girls got disappeared in 2020 alone in 1 year. 77,000 Black women and girls went missing. Not a word, not nowhere, not headlines all over the country, not mass search shit the fuck anywhere. 77,000 Black women and girls went missing in 1 year, y'all. You understand? Yeah. Now I'm gonna add another element to the motherfucking shit. You feel me? The disappearance, and this ain't no shit nobody want to talk about. The disappearance and the aggression against members of the LGBTQIA community that go unaccounted for. Them statistics, god damn. Child, I watched the documentary calling myself detoxing from this toxic ass wormhole that I was in. So I was like, let me watch something a little frou-frou, a little lighthearted, you feel me? And when I was before I deviate, before I pivot, I saw this TikTok by this Black girl called about this motherfucker that they about to let loose, y'all. They about to he getting out on good behavior. This motherfucker, his name is DJ Kid. His real name is Jason Roger Pope. DJ Kid. He admitted, child, this motherfucker, this is in this century. This is since 2000. This motherfucker admitted to sexually assaulting or raping, and some he killed. He didn't say how many he killed. 693 Black girls and women. He admitted out his mouth once he was caught. That's what he said. I'd say about 693 that I sexually assaulted or raped. Some of them I killed. That's what he said. Do you know how much time they gave? I think it was 19 years total they gave him. $693 Black women and girls. Y'all. Child. Let me give you some other statistics before I move on to this thing, the lighthearted thing I was about to talk to y'all about. Native American women are just as faceless and nameless as Black women in this country in terms of the crimes committed against them today. Okay. I've participated in a lot of the campaigns happening out west around missing and murdered Indigenous women. Y'all, god motherfucking damn, it is the most distressful shit I have ever heard some of the shit that happens out here to these women, y'all. These women in Canada, these women in the Western Hemisphere. And do you know, what was it, April? February. It might have been February, March. That the federal government made it officially illegal, I guess. Created this legislation that made it impossible for tribal governments to bring charges against, arrest, and imprison motherfuckers who come onto the reservations for the sole purpose of committing crimes. So they do not have the jurisdiction or the power to arrest, try, and imprison some white boy in particular who come up on the res to commit crimes and aggressions against the people. They have to surrender them to the federal government. That just happened. And so what will happen, especially in some of the borderless reservations. So out here in California, a lot of the reservations are like military bases now. Motherfucker, you got to show your ID. Armed guards will come up to your car, take a picture of your license plate, take a picture of your driver's license, and tell you you can be up on the res for an hour. That's it. It's like, and I'm like, that's what's up. You feel me? But a lot of these reservations out here are borderless. They do not have anybody can roll up on the res. Anybody can roll up on the res. And so apparently there is a huge mafia problem. Not mafia, like drug cartels. There's drug cartel problems on these reservations, right? And there are motherfuckers who will literally, there's a name for it, when these white boys will go at night while people are sleeping in pickup trucks and shit and abduct women out they and girls out they house, y'all. Will disappear them out their motherfucking houses. You can't make this shit up. In 2024. So some of the statistics. Murder among Native American women is the third leading cause of death of Native women. Overall, disease, accident, all the ways that a motherfucker can die. The third leading cause of death of Native American women in this country, the third leading cause of death is murder. The third leading cause of death among a group of people who still today only make up a little over 1% of the fucking population of this continent. The third leading cause of death of Native women is murder. Globally, the whole planet over, y'all, the leading cause of premature death of women, the leading cause of all the ways that a motherfucker can die, the leading cause of premature death of women the globe over is femicide. It's femicide. The leading cause of premature death of all women on earth is femicide. Yeah. The most femicide victims are in Africa, and second to that is Asia. The World Health Organization, UNICEF, and all these organizations cannot get accurate numbers on femicide because so many deaths, murders of women have not been categorized as femicide. They dead because they female. You hear me? They estimate that upwards of 40% of the women that are murdered should be identified as femicide are not. So those numbers would be much higher. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even get into what time. Okay. I didn't even get into the statistics. 80%, child. So yes, you'll hear men say, when you talk about anything as a woman about our lived experience, the first thing men will say, it's not just women. Men get murdered too. It's not just women. Men get raped too. It's not just women. Men are the victims of domestic violence too. All of that is true. All of that is true. It's not just men. Women murder too. All of this is true. But why would you say that as a way to somehow diminish the significance of what we're saying, as opposed to saying, that's why I side with y'all, because we get murdered too. That's why I side with y'all, because we get raped too. That's why I side with y'all, because we have these experiences too. Not in some kind of our oppression versus your oppression kind of shit. Because at the end of the day, all of these things that happen to men too, 80% of the motherfuckers committing these crimes against men too, against boy children too, and so on and so on and so on, guess who they is? Men. 80% of all murders committed on earth, 80% are committed by men. 80% of all murders, of all people, of all ways, 80% of all murders are committed by men. So if you are a man and you've been victimized, if you are a man and somebody you know is a male victim of murder or a male victim of rape or what, do not use that as a way to diminish and try to silence what women are saying about our goddamn experience. Say, I side with women because this has happened to me. I side with women because this has happened to my friend. I side with women because I understand what it means to be victimized by men as a man. Child, 80% of all murders the globe over are committed by men. Committed by men. In South Africa, 9 women are murdered every day in South Africa. 9, with the great majority of them being Black. In South Africa today, 9 women are murdered every single day. In the United States, what did that say? No, globally. 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 6 women on earth globally. Child, listen, 6 women are killed every hour on earth. Every hour on earth, 6 women are murdered. According to Forbes magazine, that translates to one woman or girl every 11 minutes. Every 11 minutes, some woman or girl is being unalived. Every 11 minutes. This is a quote from that same article in Forbes magazine. Despite general homicide rates decreasing, femicide cases have been rising continuously in the last 2 decades. Overall murder rates are down, but crimes against women are increasing. Yep. There has been a 30% increase in the last 10 years of murder against women in Australia. 30% increase in the last 10 years. Understand? What was another crazy ass statistic? Listen to this shit right here. In the United States, femicide has increased by 29% between the years of 2017 and 2022. 29% increase in the murder of women in the United States. Just in, what is that, 5 years? From 2017 to 2022, a 29% increase. Yep. Hold on. Let's see what else. Mm. Mm-hmm. Back to the serial killers. Chad, there was a serial killer in Colombia who was tried, for 221 serial murders of girls and women, though they estimate that he was responsible for up to 700 unsolved cases. 700. And the quote most prolific serial killer in Africa was in South Africa, a black man named Moses Sitole, who was tried, and they called him the most prolific serial killer in Africa, in the whole continent. But man, fuck you, bitch. Stay off my shit with dumb shit. Stupid motherfucker. Figure out how to block this bitch. Yes, my motherfucking shit, bitch. I can like listening to myself talk. Punk ass motherfucker. Anyway, so let's see. And they just gave a lady 30 years for stealing. Don't get me wrong. It was multiple times she was caught, but 30 years. No, I feel that. Let's see. So the dude in Africa, they called him the most prolific. Now I'm gonna tell you, it is not to make it. It's not to say either or. But I find it interesting that they would say the most prolific serial killer in Africa is a black male, and of the serial killers that they talked about, not one was white. Especially in South Africa, there ain't no white serial killers in South Africa. Really? I found that interesting. But anyway, the black dude who they caught, and he what did he call it? He admitted, and he was tried for 38 victims, all women, all black women. But there are a total of 79 people, women, that he was attributed to killing. The reason they called him the most prolific serial killer in the whole continent was because the 39 that he was convicted of and the possible 79 that they suspected he was responsible for, baby, he killed all those women in less than a year. A lot of these serial killers, take their time, they're methodical, this shit unfolds over decades. This dude killed all these women in 1 year. 1 year. Yup. So him, you feel me? Then let's see. There was a bunch. There was just a bunch. So that's just some of the statistics about femicide. And yeah, right. I think that was pretty much, that was pretty much the gist of it. There were all these explanations being offered about why. And then they also, according to this website called unwomen.org, unwomen.org, they it's estimated that 40% of acts of violence against women go unreported, and murders of women go undiscovered. 40% go undiscovered, right? So yeah, let's see. I think that was it overall, child. And then there's one last thing I'm gonna bring up before I bring this all together. Okay, I'm bringing all of this shit together. This was on sexual violence against women, and I had remembered there was oh, let me deviate, because there was one more thing I wanted to mention. So remember I was saying trying to deviate from this thing that was really toxic and fucking me up. I was like, let me watch something lighthearted. So a few days ago, maybe 3 days ago, I watched this documentary. Some of y'all were too young to remember this. There was this movie that came out in the 90s. It was a movie adaptation of a real man's life, and it was called Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, or something like that. Yeah, it's Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. And it was about this famous drag queen in Australia who kind of like was on the cutting edge of, deconstructing really toxic homophobia in Australia in the 80s and in the 90s, right? Like, it was illegal up until the 90s, up through the 90s, to be in homosexual relationships. It was illegal. And not only was it illegal, the general population was violently opposed to homosexuality. So there was this whole underground, we stay out of sight, we don't make nobody uncomfortable, we mind our own business. But there was this whole underground movement of, homosexual life and culture in Australia. And this drag queen, I forget the dude's name, I guess it was Priscilla, or maybe they gave him anyway, this documentary was about the making, what had to happen for this movie to be made, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. And I remembered it. I was like, oh yeah, I love that movie when I was younger. I was like a teenager when the movie came out. So they were talking about the whole environment around the population, around this counterculture in Australia at the time, how violent it was. One of the aspects of the violence around this population was the fact that the police never ever investigated murders of particularly males that they suspected of being gay. So this one family, it was two men, it was a dad and his son, were talking about the son's older brother who was gay. He didn't live in this town. I forget the name of the town. He didn't live in the town where his family still was, but he would come and visit relatively often. And there was a stretch of beachfront road, like a running path, like a paved running path that everybody used to go on, but it used to be known for what the gay community calls trade. It was like a trade spot. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with that, but trade is like where you go to have sex with random people. It was like a trade spot, right? And you could pick up anybody and y'all go have sex and then go on about your way. You feel me? So this was a well-known pickup spot for homosexual men. And so this man and his son were talking about the day that the brother disappeared, and they called the police and and all this stuff. The police closed the investigation, said the brother committed suicide. The brother had a fistful of hair in his fist. They refused to investigate it as a murder, disappeared all the evidence, and the man, that was it. They returned the body to the family, and the family buried the brother with nothing. This was in the early 90s when this happened. Well, when these laws came down that finally decriminalized homosexuality in the 90s, in Australia, they said the stigma was still so bad that there were so many people whose murders were not being investigated by the police because they were gay. Baby, they said from 1985 to 1995, 10 years in this one town alone, not even talking about the rest of the country, just this one town alone, they had this little stretch of a pickup spot. Baby, in 10 years, there was an estimated 80 murders of homosexual men. 80 murders in one town that were never investigated by the police department. 80 men. As a matter of fact, they said that the spot was so popular that high school kids who wanted to prove themselves as tough would use that pickup spot as an initiation to go beat up or kill some gay person on this track. Y'all hear me? 80 men in 80 men in 10 years in one town in a whole continent. And the police never investigated the murders, y'all, because they was gay. Here I am thinking I'm about to watch some lighthearted shit on how Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, got made because it was such a lighthearted, fun, random fucking movie. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. Pictures, video footage of when the homosexual community was finally trying to, like, you know, live out loud. They was like, fuck it, we gonna throw our own Mardi Gras. And it was rinky dink, you know what I mean? But they was like, we gonna live out loud, right? Child, that shit was incredible. The pigs came down on them. Child, like they was terror. It was horrifying. Oh my God, it was horrifying. It was horrifying. Bashing people's faces in with nightsticks, like full on blood flying, women, men. That shit was off the chain. I said, oh my God, yo, this shit. So anyway, so that, and then the last thing, and then the tying together. So I watched this thing. They talking about the murders of these men, all of these statistics, all the things. And the last thing I looked up, because one of the primary things the women were talking about in South Korea was sexual violence against them, right? And I remembered, this was some years ago, maybe 2010-ish. I remember seeing this big movie, this news broadcast coming out of Chicago. You remember the woman that used to play in Law and Order, what is it, the SV unit or Special Victims Unit? Y'all remember that? So the woman who played the lead cop in Special Victims Unit decided to do this big campaign and fundraiser because she had heard about all of these untested, these unprocessed rape kits in this one Chicago hospital or this one Chicago police department, right? So I remembered that story and I was like, you know what? Let me pull up these articles. So apparently, I think the earliest one that I read about was like 2009. So and then there was another one, it was in 2003. So apparently, something happened, and all of these police departments around the country started getting exposed for this culture under the guise that there ain't enough money. This culture of deliberately shelving women's rape kits, like unprocessing the rape kits. So they would just sit unprocessed in like basements and boxes and shit. Baby, y'all, goddamn. One organization called the Chicago Justice Project.org estimates that in the entire country, there are anywhere from 100,000 to 400,000 unprocessed rape kits. Child, 500,000 goddamn unprocessed rape kits. Some of the states that were high profile states that finally resolved their, what they call it, the backlog. There's another website called inthebacklog.com. These are all like nonprofit organizations that I guess around at the turn of the century started really going ham trying to get these rape kits processed, right? So people could get some justice. So unprocessed rape kits of the cities that have finally dug their heels in to go ahead and start processing these rape kits, of the rape kits that have been processed from these major cities, there are suspected 1,300 serial rapists that would have been caught if the rape kits had been processed earlier. 1,300 serial rapists, y'all. 1,300. 2000, I'm going to read this to you. 2011 in Ohio. Ohio in 2011 says we are going to start the process. They make the announcement. We're going to start the process of processing the 13,931 unprocessed rape kits that we have. In Ohio alone, 13,931 unprocessed rape kits. This was in 2011. They finally finished processing all the rape kits 10 years later in 2021. The completed analysis identified, in Ohio alone, 511 serial rapists and resulted in 826 indictments. There was one rapist that was linked to 17 victims. They had what they called a case study in the state of an example of one of the serial rapists identified through finally processing these rape kits. You hear me? Nathan Ford was a probation officer, y'all. Nathan Ford was a probation officer linked to 15 rapes since the 1990s and an additional 14 sexual assaults. A probation officer. In Detroit in 2009, they say we too are going to take the responsibility to process all of our rape kits in the numbers of 11,341 unprocessed kits. 11,341 unprocessed kits in Detroit, a singular city. They finally completed all the tests in 2022, another decade. Of the analysis of the completed results, there were 2,616 DNA matches, 840 in a city. This ain't a state like Ohio. This is a city. Child. Of those processed rape kits, they revealed 840 serial rapists in the city of Detroit. 840 serial rapists, y'all. 229 convictions linked to crimes in 40 states, including DC. In one city, Detroit. In 2013, Memphis, Tennessee decides it too is going to submit and test all 12,375 of its unprocessed rape kits. The results of these rape kits led to 2,612 investigations and 270 indictments. New York City, when it finally submitted and it resisted, when it finally submitted its rape kits for processing, there were more than 17,000 in the city. New York City, not the state, in New York City, 17,000 untested rape kits upon submission for investigation analysis. 17,000 unprocessed rape kits. 17,000 unprocessed rape kits, with estimates between 100,000 and 400,000 unprocessed kits across the whole of the United States of this here America. So what do serial murders, cults, murder cults, 1 in 5 Black men being serial killers and their primary target of obsession is Black female bodies. The 137 women globally are killed every day. 137 women are killed every day by a partner on the whole planet. 137 women a day killed by a partner or a family member. 50,000 women killed annually by somebody they know. You understand? A woman every 11 minutes on Earth is murdered. 6 women every hour is murdered. You feel me? South Africa, 9 women every day are murdered. Feel me? And those numbers go up the more marginalized you are. Disabled people have some of the highest murder rates. Who knew? Who knew? So when I'm talking about last week, the 4B movement, and I start digging into all the ways that people decide that they are going to do harm to female humans, you understand? In particular, not exclusively, but in particular, we talking about femicide right now, all right? Then it made much more sense to me why any group of female humans would decide, with 80% of all the murders committed on Earth committed by male hands, it made sense to me why these women was like, y'all, no, no, no male dating, no male no marrying males, no dating males, no having sex with males, no having no babies. This shit out of control, and y'all don't understand shit but brute force. You feel me? That's the only thing y'all understand is brute force, and this is the only force we got. This is the only force we got is to just close the fuck up shop and completely divest from the whole motherfucking society. That's the only option we got, because y'all don't want to hear any other way. Y'all do not want to listen. You understand? When we are telling you that this shit here is dire straits, that there ain't nowhere on Earth where we are safe. There ain't nowhere on Earth where our beingness is bound to be respected. Between stalking and murdering and killing our children, the children you swear you want us to have, but then we'll turn around. Then I read some shit today about people who get divorced, and how if a man decides that he's going to fight his wife for custody, he is 92% more likely to be given custody than the woman if he petitions for custody. That's across the country. And that a man who has been proven to be abusive to his wife, he is still more likely to receive custody than 72% more likely to receive custody of his children than his wife. You hear me? That a man who has had a history, a proven history of abusing his children is still, there's still a 25% chance that he will receive sole custody of those kids that he abused. That's right, Nikki. So she was saying because some guy was like, well, why don't men have custody? More men have custody of their children? Because she said, because they don't petition them. This is coming from lawyers. This is coming from analysis of numbers, that when a man goes to petition the court for custody, he gonna get custody. The only reason men do not have custody is because they have not petitioned for custody. The other scary, horrifying statistic from this nationwide analysis of judgments between lawyers and judges is that a man who has a history of being abusive either to his wife or his children is more likely to fight for custody than men who do not have a history of abuse. Isn't that something? What was it? 73%. A man who is abusive to his children or his wife is 72% more likely to fight for custody because he's a fucking control freak. Not because he loves them, not because he wants them, but to further abuse children and women. They are the most likely to fight for custody. They are more likely than men who do not have a history of abuse to fight for custody. Ain't that some shit? And so all of this shit together, I told y'all, see, random wormhole ramblings. Yeah, this shit had me dismayed because I was like, no, this shit is really much more gruesome than we give space to because we see everything is disconnected, unrelated shit. So I know y'all was probably like, why is she talking about serial killers? Because the primary target of serial killers is women and children. The primary target, not exclusively, because there was an Israeli serial killer, like from Israel. An Israeli serial killer in fucking some black ass town. What city was it? Primarily black folks. This Israeli serial killer was killing black men, stabbing them to death. Roll up on them, asking for help. Can you help me fix my car? Jug them strategically. Listen, this motherfucker, because you know they all IDF. There ain't no quote Israeli civilians. You know, everybody that lives in Israel has to what we call it, the draft. What we call it, they don't call it the draft. It's what males have to sign up for here at 18. Every citizen in Israel has to sign up. Selective services. Every person, every citizen, male and female, has to sign up for selective services at the age of 16, I think 15 or 16 in Israel. They all learn how to be freaking, what you call them, mercenaries. So when they were talking about this Israeli serial killer in this black ass town in the United States, and like every 2 days, he'll roll up on somebody. His MO was, I need help. Can you help me with my car or whatever? And then as soon as the person, or can you show me the directions? And as soon as the person would turn to show directions, he would take this freaking knife and quick stab these people in their major organs. Now, how he know how to do that? Never miss. 3 major organs and then take off. Israeli, goddamn serial killer. And then because he knew that the shit wouldn't go down the same way in Israel as it would here, he was trying to get his Israeli government to extradite him. Y'all, this shit's so wicked. This shit's so wicked. So wicked. So that was the white Israeli dude who, and it was like, I forget how many people he didn't kill all of them. He was trying to, because every single person he was sticking them in major organs. Quick. They was like, before I could even move, I was down on the ground. One kid, 14-year-old baby, was like, I just felt this sharp stabbing pain, like I got hit in the side or like I got stung. And then I realized I was bleeding, right? And then take off. Feel me? Then there was another dude who was attacking only homosexuals in this town in Colorado. And this was relatively recent, like the 90s. Same thing. People have been dying, going missing for years, y'all, years. But because in this town in Colorado, yes, LaJay, yeah, that's happening like as we speak, right? But in this town in Colorado, because, and these were young men, they were all between the ages of like 18 and 25, because they were all, those folks, because they were all gay, 2 decades went by before anybody even in the police department I'm talking about, because there were plenty of people, because all of these kids, these weren't like nobodies. These weren't like homeless, drug addicts. These people had family members that cared about them, would file missing persons reports. The police wouldn't do anything because the last place they were seen is at this one local, gay bar. And so all these kids, man, these kids was younger than my kids. Feel me? 18 to 24 years old was the average age, and it ended up being like 20 kids over a 2-decade span of time. And because the police refused to investigate them as anything other than missing persons and then close the case, child, when one got away, and that's the only reason they caught him, was because one got away. This dude was like well liked in the town. He owned these 2 thrift stores that did these big fundraisers for the local homeless community shelter or some shit. You feel me? He had a wife and kids, and every time his wife and kids would go out of town to see her mom, which was often, let's go take a weekend trip to see grandma, whatever. Whenever they would go out of town, he would go on the prowl. It went on for years, and he killed 20-some people and had them all buried all over the property. All over the property. They had a big-ass ranch in Colorado. This dude had been killing young homosexual males for decades because he knew the police wasn't going to investigate them. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I had to get that off my chest because I've been sitting with it for a couple of days. I was like, I wanted to be a little bit more organized in the delivery. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just going to put this shit out and move on. Y'all got to be safe out here. Like we can say, yes, we have to teach men not to murder. We have to teach men not to, commit crimes of sexual violence against women and children. Yeah, okay, fine. But sometimes, the chairman of the organization that I used to be in used to say, sometimes you can reason with a motherfucker. You feel me? Sometimes you can reason with a bitch. There are other times where the only way that you can reason with a motherfucker is with a baseball bat to the kneecaps. You understand? Is with what you call a physical education. Like the only language they understand is brute force. He says, so sometimes you have to crack a bitch and break their legs. You have to crush their motherfucking kneecaps. And if that don't work, you have to do what you have to do to preserve your life. You have to do what you have to do to preserve your life. And so my daughter was in self-defense classes and mixed martial arts by the time she was 8 years old. Period. And her mixed martial artists didn't just teach them grappling, hand-to-hand combat type of shit. Taught them, especially as children, how to use everyday objects that they would always have on them. Teach them vital points. Just enough, because they recognize a baby cannot overcome a grown ass aggressor, but you can do things that give you the seconds that you need to run away. You understand? Her mixed martial arts and self-defense teachers, who were Persian, taught them everything. How to use a pen to poke a bitch eyeballs out. How to use a pencil to stab a bitch in the ear or in the jugular vein. How to locate it. How to all the vital points to give a baby the opportunity. And they had kids as young as 5 years old in their self-defense classes, teaching them how to give themselves the seconds that they need to free themselves from an aggressor. You got to do what you got to do. My daughter, that was the one good thing about Florida. Florida, if you want to join the gun range, the age requirement for becoming a member of the gun range is 5 fucking years old. And yes, me and my 8-year-old daughter was up in the gun range. You understand? You got to do what you got to do. Because the statistics tell us, and I ain't trying to be fear-mongering or scare y'all or no shit. We have to know what we up against. And even just, quote, divesting is not enough. Divesting, as a matter of fact, the 4B movement that showed us that. They was like, look, all we saying is that we ain't trying to fuck with y'all until we get some justice. Why don't y'all come over here on our side and get some justice with us? Force the government to give us justice. That ain't what men decided to do in large. They say that the crimes, the aggressions against women in South Korea since the 4B movement started, there's been a 39% increase in the violence against women. So imagine what the fuck would happen when our crime rates are already higher than any other developed nation. What would happen here if women in mass say we divesting, we checking the fuck out? We checking the fuck out. Ain't none of y'all motherfuckers get no pussy until we get some justice at this beach. Do you think that the same thing would not happen that happened to these women and they still dug their heels in? Even with a 39% increase in the violence against them for taking the position? Child, you better get out here and learn how to box a bitch. Learn how to use a blade. Get yourself licensed to carry. So as a healthcare worker, my position is that anybody that has a child, the first thing that they should be, as far as I'm concerned, it should be mandated. If you have a baby, you need to get certified in CPR and first aid. That's just the responsible bare minimum thing that a parent should do, is to get, and it's free. You can go to the Red Cross, or you can go to, several places and get a free certification in first aid and CPR. As far as I'm concerned, everybody should be certified in first aid and CPR, period. But especially people who have children, get CPR and first aid certified. You feel me? After that, as soon as your child can start communicating and walking and talking, you need to be teaching them how to preserve and protect their temple, their body. When my little girl was a baby, she was not even walking, I started singing little songs to her while she was in the bathtub. This is my arm, it belongs to me. Nobody can touch it but mommy and Gammy. Making a song out of how to protect and preserve what belongs to her. I always say, I always speak when somebody does not make me feel safe. Whatever. I always talk. I always tell. You feel me? If they touch you on your arm and it doesn't feel right, then it's not right. You understand me? That shit saved her life. That shit saved her life. You understand? Teach your children that their temple is theirs, and whatever they have to do to preserve it, that's what they need to do. Not to terrify them. My daughter, I didn't raise my daughter to be afraid of the world. I made her aware of how to protect and preserve that which belongs to her. That's what we have to do. Because these numbers don't motherfucking lie. This shit is insane. That the more progressive we get, the more the increase in violence happens against us. A 29% increase against violence against women in 5 years in the United States. Child, y'all better squad up. That's all I got to say about that. Y'all better squad up. Men who say they give a damn about women, now's your time to show and prove. This bullshit y'all be talking about protecting women, now's y'all time to show the fuck up. Now is the time for y'all to show up. And not just women you like. Not just women you think you can get next to. Not women you think gonna give you some ass. God damn it. This shit is crazy out here. This shit is crazy. So that's all I got to say about that. This clown ass motherfucker had me mad earlier with that bullshit. You feel me? No, you can't teach. First of all, there's a spirit that exists in a person who makes up in their mind, especially premeditated, but even a person that makes up in their mind that they are going to do harm to another human being. A person that makes up in their mind that they are going to overpower another human being, a baby, a child, a woman. There's something else going on. And in my estimation, they don't have a right to live. They don't have a right to breathe. Once you get to the point that this twisted thing that exists in your mind that teaches you that because opportunity allows you to, because that's what happened when they talk about black men, 1 in 5 serial killers are black men. It's opportunity that presents this thing to them. Oh, don't nobody care about black women, so that's gonna be the target of my twistedness. Everybody hate black women, so ain't nobody gonna miss these bitches if I kill them. It's opportunity that allows for something that is a thought, that's a twisted, sadistic thought, to become an action in the real world. And when the women rule, when the women lead, I know y'all think it's gonna be all kumbaya and shit. It ain't. Not what I'm talking about. It ain't gonna be that. It may eventually become that. But baby, we're gonna have to clean house first. We're gonna have to clean house once we take this shit. We're gonna have to act like the Furies, you understand? The Fates and the Furies. That's gonna be the function, the role that we have to be up in on the front side of this thing. We're gonna have to be the vulture. You understand? Yeah. We're gonna have to be the judge, the jury, and the executioners. That's what we're gonna have to be. That's just real. These statistics got me on one, y'all. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and go. It's 11. Like I said, I still got to be up several hours to prepare for tomorrow. So if you're in the Los Angeles area tomorrow, and actually I have 2 events that I'm preparing for. One, I'm just vending my jewelry. That is at, what is it? Oh, what's the address? I'm trifling. If you're interested in attending and you're in the Los Angeles or the greater Los Angeles area, email me at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. I'm also teaching a workshop on 5 elements theory tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at a wellness event where there's going to be a gang of people. Like the numbers are up into like 400 people. There's going to be a myriad of different healers in the space. There's going to be like sound bath healers and some South American Mexica healers doing performing Olympia for people. And there's a woman who does floor Thai massage. She's off the chain. There's going to be a lot of different healers. The event is free. So if you are in the greater Los Angeles area and you want to come see me teach a workshop on the 5 elements, or you want to participate in the rest of the event is from 3 to 10, I believe. My presentation is at 6 o'clock, but the event is literally from 3 to 10. So come through. That is at a place called Zula Den on Jefferson Boulevard in Los Angeles. Again, for actual details, and you're in the greater Los Angeles area, email me at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com for more information. I'm also setting up to do a workshop and free cupping at El Sereno Community Garden on the 24th. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of opportunities if you're in the greater Los Angeles area to either participate in workshops that I'm teaching or get free healing sessions, cupping primarily and massage that I'll be doing at these events. So if you're interested in any of those things, email me at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. If you are interested in getting a complete wellness consultation from me, a reading / divination from me, or counseling, I'm also a minister, counseling from me, then same. Email me at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com and I will send you the details for how you can book a session with me. And that is for anybody, no matter where you are. Those I conduct via Zoom. So anybody can receive those. Plus, last thing I will say is I'm having a sale on my Etsy store. So support my Etsy store, which is www.DaughterOfTheFates.etsy.com. And then I also still have about, I think, 13 eclipse bathed and sanctified crystal quartz from the mountains of Arkansas that were baptized in the energy of the April 8th solar eclipse. So if you're still interested in buying an eclipse crystal, reach out to me, put crystal in the subject header at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. That's all I have to say about that. Support my channel. Those of you who are on IG, go to my YouTube channel, which too is @DaughterOfTheFates in YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Consider becoming a member if you are not already. And I will see you guys I probably won't do another live till Monday, truth be told. But in the meantime, I love you all. I appreciate you taking time for me to like dump this craziness that I had in my head out in this wormhole rambling session. And I will see you again later on this week. Peace. Have a great weekend.